You've been lied to. They told you your dog barks at night because it hears other dogs. They told you it digs at the floor because it's just instinct. They told you it stares at walls because it's curious. They were wrong. Not all questions deserve answers, and not all answers are safe. In this video, we're exposing the truth behind 10 questions every dog owner has asked. But these aren't the answers you'll find online. These are the ones they've buried, the ones they never wanted you to hear, because your dog isn't confused. It isn't misbehaving. It's warning you. What is it trying to tell you? And what happens if you ignore it? This is the full report. 10 hidden cases. 10 terrifying truths. Watch carefully before it's too late. This message is issued by the Emergency Coordination Center. Please listen closely and follow the instructions. This is not a drill. All of you are advised to remain indoors after sundown. We are responding to a series of highly unusual 911 calls reporting strange, unexplained behaviors in household dogs. These incidents occur only at night, specifically between 12 a.m. and 3 a.m. The first call came from a home on Granger Hill, where a couple reported their Labrador barking non-stop at their sliding glass door. The dog refused to move, teeth bared, tail still. They thought it was a raccoon or someone outside, but there was nothing there. They said the dog wouldn't stop barking until they tried to pull it away, and that's when it growled, not at the outside, but at them, as if it didn't recognize them anymore. Later that night, more calls came in. Different breeds, different homes. Same pattern. Around midnight, the dogs become restless, pacing, whining, hiding. Then suddenly, they freeze, lift their heads, and begin barking at doors, windows, or empty hallways. But they don't bark like normal. Witnesses describe it as sharp, repeated bursts, each bark perfectly timed, like a warning code. Some said it almost sounded like the dog was trying to speak, to form words it couldn't quite get out. One child reported that her dog was telling her not to open the door. Whatever they're barking at isn't visible to humans. Security cameras show nothing. Night lights flicker. But every time, the dog stares at the same place, a corner, a dark window, a hallway leading to a closed door. One caller whispered into the phone that their dog barked at the exact same corner for 3 nights straight. Not once did the dog blink. They said its eyes were wide, dry, almost glassy, like it wasn't just watching, it was waiting. In one case, a senior citizen in Fairgrove heard her golden retriever barking in the kitchen. When she turned on the light, the dog was sitting motionless in front of the back door, and behind the frosted glass was the outline of a tall figure. She said the shape didn't move, but the dog growled until 3:01 a.m. Then it stopped, and the shape was gone. She later mentioned she could smell something strange in the air, like melted plastic and something metallic. She said it reminded her of an old burned extension cord. Animal behaviorists consulted by the county believe the dogs are detecting something we can't. Something that only appears when most people are asleep. Something that doesn't want to be seen. We don't know what it is yet. But the dogs do. They see it. They smell it. And they're trying to warn us. Every barking fit, every low growl, every refusal to leave a certain spot, it's all a signal. Some of the 911 operators have started keeping a notepad by their desks. They're writing down the exact times, trying to find a pattern. One dispatcher said all her calls started at 12:13 a.m., exactly 3 nights in a row. We have gathered these common stages. Stage 1. Restlessness. Your dog may begin pacing, whining, or scratching at the floor. This usually starts between 11:30 p.m. and midnight. They may appear scared but won't look you in the eye. You might notice their ears twitching at things you can't hear. Tiny sounds that stop the room cold. Stage 2. Target lock. Between 12:10 a.m. and 12:45 a.m., the dog will freeze and bark toward one fixed point. It could be a closed door, an empty hallway, a dark closet, or a covered mirror. They will not respond to their name. Some owners said their dogs tilted their heads slightly before barking, almost like they were listening to something whispering. Stage 3. Resistance. Attempts to remove the dog or block its view may result in growling or snapping. It is not aggression. It is desperation. Do not punish the dog. One resident said, "It looked at me like I was the danger, like it wanted to protect something from me." Another said that their dog had tears in its eyes, like it was scared of what would happen if they stopped barking. If your dog starts barking between midnight and 3 a.m., follow these steps. Do not open the door. Do not look out the windows. Do not approach the area your dog is watching. Do not call its name repeatedly. This confuses it. Lock all doors and close all curtains. If possible, stay in a room with no mirrors. Place the dog in a quiet room with low light and stay near it. Speak softly. Let it calm naturally. If your power flickers, do not panic. Do not leave the room to check the circuit breaker. That is how 2 people in Milltown went missing. A resident from Pine Hollow reported something new. Her dog barked at the hallway for 2 nights in a row. On the 3rd night, it barked at her. She checked her bedroom door. It was cracked open even though she had locked it. And on the inside surface of the door were 3 long scratch marks. No one else was home. She didn't hear anything. Not footsteps. Not movement. Just the silence, and her dog shaking like it had seen something it wasn't supposed to. We do not know what the dogs are seeing, but we believe this is not a virus, not hallucination, not coincidence. It is deliberate. It is nightly. It is spreading. Case file 22D has now logged 19 separate reports within the last 4 nights. And those are just the ones that made it through. This is not just about pets. They are trying to keep us from something. Or maybe from something getting to us. Some believe the dogs are protecting us. Others think they're warning us before they run out of time. Final instructions. If your dog begins barking at night for no reason, lock the door. Stay where you are. Keep lights low. Don't follow the noise. Don't whisper its name. And if the barking suddenly stops, don't assume it's safe. That only means whatever was out there is now inside. And if it is inside, you won't see it right away. You might not see it at all. But the dog will. It always does. This message will repeat every hour until daybreak. Stay indoors. Stay calm. Trust your dog. And never ignore the bark. This is an official broadcast from the County Emergency Response Network. All dog owners are advised to listen carefully. If you are a dog owner, especially if your pet has recently begun scratching or pawing at a particular spot indoors, on the carpet, near the wall, or at a floor tile, you are urged to isolate the animal and secure the location. This is not a training behavior. This is not anxiety. The first confirmed incident occurred last night at 11:42 p.m. A family living in the Fairwood residential block called 911 after their dog, an older black lab named Milo, began scratching violently at the corner of the living room rug. The dog did not respond to voice commands. It did not appear frightened. It appeared focused. It kept digging at the carpet until its paws were raw. When the family finally managed to drag the dog away, they discovered faint stains beneath the rug, grayish. dried into the fibers. Not blood, not mold, something else. Within an hour, 3 more households in the same neighborhood made similar calls. Dogs, without warning, began targeting very specific points in their homes, beneath door frames, inside closets, under kitchen counters. One couple reported their golden retriever standing motionless in front of a vent, nose touching the metal grill, refusing to move for over 45 minutes. It just stared, silent, as if waiting. Recordings taken during these episodes show that just before the scratching begins, the dogs turn their heads slightly, as if reacting to a sound no one else can hear. A low hum, not picked up by phones, not heard by humans, but consistent in every report. What follows next varies. Some dogs begin pacing after scratching, others sit upright and face a particular corner of the room. In one case, a border collie began pressing its body flat against a bathroom tile and howling at nothing. Audio from this event has been restricted, but the attending officer described it as not howling in fear or pain. He said the dog was howling for something. Authorities initially suspected carbon monoxide, mold, or wildlife under the house, but environmental scans returned clean. There are no leaks, no infestations, no structural rot, and yet the dogs continue. Some scratch through the night. Others stand for hours, noses pressed to the floor, tails stiff, bodies frozen. In one of the most disturbing incidents, it was reported just outside Lexington, Kentucky. A Labrador mix named Penny began returning to the same floor tile in the master bedroom every night, just after 3 a.m. She made no sound, no whining. She would simply walk to the spot, lie down, and begin to paw at it slowly. Methodically, the owners assumed it was habit. But over the course of a week, they noticed thin red smears across the tile from her worn-down claws. They called in a vet, thinking it might be compulsive behavior. A county investigator accompanied them after hearing about similar incidents. The team lifted the tile and found compacted dirt beneath, unusual given the concrete slab foundation. After further digging, they uncovered decayed fabric, bone fragments, and a jaw. The DNA results came in 2 days later. The body belonged to Iris Bellamy, the previous owner of the property, declared missing in 2004, presumed to have left town. Her name was still listed on the property deed, marked as transferred by abandonment. The dog has since stopped scratching. That's why we are asking residents not to dig where the dogs scratch. Not yet. One homeowner in Ash Pines ignored this guidance. After his German Shepherd began clawing at a basement wall behind the washing machine, he removed the drywall himself. He said the dog became calm as soon as the wall came down. Behind the insulation, he found a sealed wooden cavity built between studs, approximately 2 feet by 4. It looked like it had been built intentionally. Inside was a bundle of clothing and hair, matted, tangled, not synthetic. Authorities took over the investigation immediately. The man who discovered the cavity has since gone silent. His phone is disconnected. His wife has refused interviews. Their dog is missing. Last night, a veterinary clinic in Pine Ridge reported a surge in emergency visits. Dogs with self-inflicted paw injuries, cracked nails, bloody pads. All from indoor scratching. All from the same motion. Behaviorists say this isn't fear or habit. It's as if the dogs are uncovering something, or waking something up. 2 new audio recordings have emerged. One, from a baby monitor, caught a low tapping beneath a floorboard moments before the family's dog began barking hysterically. The second, from a phone left on a kitchen counter, captured this message, neither voice nor static. Still here. Still under. These clips have been verified. The audio is not tampered with, and the voice does not match any human pattern. All residents are now being advised. If your dog scratches persistently at the same indoor location, document the time and duration. Place heavy objects over the area. Do not dig. If your dog begins to bark at the floor, walls, or fixed spaces without stimulus, isolate the dog in a separate room and close all windows. If the scratching becomes more aggressive or begins at exactly 3:13 a.m., a pattern now confirmed in 8 cases, evacuate the room immediately and contact local authorities using code phrase Scratch Protocol Red. Do not sleep near the affected area. Do not knock on the floor. Do not speak through vents. Residents in the known affected zones will be visited for home assessment. No home with a scratched floorboard has passed inspection. One final warning. In these isolated cases, the residents reported hearing scratching even after the dog was removed. The sound did not stop when the floor was covered. It continued, faint, rhythmic, as if something on the other side had learned from watching the dog. If you hear it, leave the room. Lock the door. Do not return until the morning. If the scratching stops, do not celebrate. Scratchers stop when they reach air. This broadcast will repeat every hour until containment is confirmed. Do not engage with the sound. Do not investigate claw marks. Your dog was not digging for nothing. It was trying to warn you. Stay alert. Stay aware. Stay above the floor. Transmission ends. If your dog growls at you without any reason, it means you're going to die soon. Something dark and deadly is already coming for you, and it will hunt you badly. This isn't superstition. This isn't folklore. This is recorded, confirmed. We've reviewed several fatal cases from towns like Cedar Valley, Hunting Creek, and Northfield County, and they all began the same way. A quiet dog growling at its own owner for no reason. The people who ignored that warning, they were later found dead in their homes, in terrifying, unnatural conditions. One man in Los Angeles died with every door locked from the inside. No signs of entry, no damage, but the hallway security camera caught him the night before, standing motionless for 7 straight hours, staring at his dog, while it barked at him. In New York, an elderly man was discovered under his bed, eyes wide, with his mouth stuffed with sewing needles. There were no cuts, no bruises, just quiet horror. The paramedics said it felt wrong to even touch the body, like the room was watching, like something wanted him to leave. One woman was found in her attic, hanging upside down with her eyes wide open and every bone in her fingers broken, yet no signs of struggle. Neighbors said her house went silent after that night. No creaks, no wind, no dogs barking, not even the usual hum of electricity. People said that the air felt heavy, like something was pressing down, waiting. The dog vanished. No one ever saw it again. Some think the dog didn't run. It was taken, swallowed by whatever came next. A college boy was strangled in his sleep by something unseen. His roommates in the same room heard nothing. They said he looked peaceful, too peaceful, like someone staged him. And the weird part? His face was wet, not sweat, not tears, something thicker. No one could explain it. A man in Northfield was found outside, kneeling in the dirt, arms twisted backward, face frozen in fear. No wounds, no signs of human involvement. His mouth was open, like he was screaming, but there were no sounds on the camera, just static. A man living nearby saw a dark figure staring through his window at midnight. Not moving, just watching. His dog growled for hours that night, eyes locked on the same window. He said he could hear his dog's teeth grinding. Not barking, just grinding, like it wanted to bite, but was scared to. The figure disappeared at dawn, but the dog never stopped growling again. A woman was found in her bathroom, folded neatly into the sink. Her bones weren't broken. They were missing, like they'd been taken out, one by one. Her dog was scratching at the door, still whimpering. Neighbors said the whimpering sounded human. Too human, like crying through clenched teeth. But something had clearly touched them. Survivors say it never makes noise. It doesn't move things, doesn't speak, but you feel it, like the air behind you just turned to ice. Like you're not being watched, you're being measured. Measured like cattle, or product, like it's deciding if you're ready, or still too alive. This creature, this force, doesn't need to break in. It doesn't need weapons. It only needs a warning, and your dog is that warning. If your dog growls at you and you want to live longer, you must act immediately like the people who survived death when their dogs growled at them did. When your dog growls at you, don't think. Just run fast and go inside a separate room. Lock every door and window. Stay inside and ask yourself these questions, not for comfort, just to survive and live longer. Why were you created? What is the purpose of your life? Why are you still alive when others died? What happens and where you go after your death? Why do people live in pain and then vanish without reason? Are we just created just to live in pain, struggle to live, and die in seconds without any final warning? If this life is temporary, what happens after? And especially, who is the creator of you and this universe? These are not just questions. They are key to surviving the unnatural thing that is coming and planning to hunt you. It doesn't just want you dead. It wants you erased, like you were never real in the first place. You see the people who lived, the ones whose dogs growled but didn't die. They didn't just sit and wait. They felt something immediately after the growl. Some said they started seeing horrible dreams at night. Others started feeling down without any reason. Some started feeling pain in different body parts. One girl said it felt like her bones were humming, like there was a sound inside her blood. Many things went wrong for them. Everything they did, they failed. Every business, every idea, got failed. And it gets worse. One man said the lights in his house started turning off one at a time, but only when he spoke. Another woman said every time she made a decision, even a small one, something broke. A glass, a light bulb, her voice. Even her phone started glitching whenever she tried to call for help. Like the universe was punishing her for trying to stay alive. But one thing saved them. They searched. They asked real questions. They read old texts. They studied everything they could. Some even said they found references in forgotten, damaged history books. Things that shouldn't exist. And slowly, the pain began to fade. The nightmares got weaker. Their dogs stopped growling, each answer making that unnatural creature go away, because they found real answers. Now they live with purpose. Success no longer avoids them. Peace no longer escapes them. They sleep peacefully. They work with joy. They don't fear death anymore. They don't fear failure. They don't fear losing people or wealth, because now they have the real answers. If your dog growls at you, you're not cursed, but you are marked. Marked by something you can't name. You may not even realize it's already started. First, your dog stops greeting you at the door. Then it avoids eye contact. Then it stares, not at you, but through you. And when you look back, you'll feel something pulling behind your eyes. Like you're not entirely here anymore. And when it finally growls, it's already too late for questions. You're being warned. You have very few days left to live. You have very less time to make a decision if you want to die soon or live longer. And if you ignore it, you won't be seen again. Not just dead. Gone. Like you never existed. Transmission end. This is an unauthorized transmission compiled from classified records, intercepted logs, and unreleased footage. You are advised to remain still. Remain silent. The following report concerns a developing pattern of pet behavior deemed a matter of public safety. Authorities recommend reporting any prolonged or unexplained animal staring, especially from dogs. The first confirmed incident occurred in a quiet suburb outside Houston, Texas. A 46-year-old male resident, name redacted, was reported missing 4 days after neighbors noticed something off. Prior to his disappearance, his dog refused to enter the house's basement. Witnesses recall the man descending the stairs alone, coaxing the animal. Audio records capture what followed, the sound of soft speaking, then silence. The dog remained at the top of the stairs, unmoving, staring. Like it knew, like it had seen this before. Hours passed. The footage shows no movement from the man. For nearly 6 hours, he stood in complete stillness, not shifting, not blinking. His arms stayed at his sides, too straight, like he forgot how joints worked. The next morning, his voice was described as flat, too precise, and unfamiliar. By the third day, he had vanished. No signs of forced entry. The dog was found inside the house, emaciated, dehydrated, but untouched by scavengers. Its eyes were locked on the basement door, still staring, paws rigid, fur raised. It didn't blink once. Over the next 8 months, 14 similar cases surfaced across 3 counties. Different names, different homes, same sequence. Dogs begin to stare, long, motionless stares. Their owners, often healthy, socially active individuals, begin to change. Not all at once. It starts small. They forget birthdays. They miss stares. Then it gets worse. They stop answering calls. Their speech becomes rhythmically off, robotic, like reading from a script that was just handed to them. In interviews, coworkers describe them as not quite listening or delayed, like they were buffering. Some stopped eating. Some stood still for hours without explanation. All eventually vanished. In each case, the dog became anxious days before, would not sleep in the same room, would bark at closed doors. They'd bark at empty chairs, wag tails at nothing, or just whimper. For hours. The pattern became impossible to dismiss. Local shelters began refusing intake. Veterinarians filed multiple reports describing identical canine stress responses. Avoidance, trembling, refusal to make eye contact with their own owners, even when called, especially when called. A veterinary technician in Morningside, Florida, was the first to witness what has since been classified as a transition event. She had been conducting a behavioral study on trauma reactions in shelter dogs. One of the test subjects, belonging to a recently reported case, was reacting violently when shown a live video feed of its owner. It didn't bark. It screamed. That's the only word that fits. During a controlled reunion, the technician left the camera running. At 3:42 p.m., the subject entered the room. The dog froze. Its legs stiffened, tail tucked. You could see its chest stop moving, like it forgot to breathe. 38 seconds later, the owner's posture shifted. Subtly, arms relaxed too perfectly, head tilted too far. No blink for over 4 minutes. He smiled, just a little, not like a happy smile, the kind a mask would make. The voice, previously strained and emotional, began repeating the dog's name in exact intervals, with no tonal variation. Medical staff arrived to intervene. The man's pupils were unresponsive to light. EEG scans taken on-site showed complete neural inactivity, zero brainwave function. But he kept moving. He followed the technician out of the room. No urgency, just glided. The dog never looked away. It is now believed that dogs are the first, perhaps the only, beings capable of detecting the change before it happens. Weeks prior to transformation, they begin avoiding direct touch. They stop responding to commands, cease tail wagging, display signs of dread, not fear. Dread, like something old just walked into the room and only they could feel it. In one case, a golden retriever buried its own food bowl and refused to eat until removed from the house. In another, a border collie broke through a second-story window after the owner stood in the hallway silently for over an hour, facing the wall. Surveillance footage recovered from these sites often shows the same thing. A person sitting perfectly still or standing in dim light, while their dog stares. The footage always ends the same way. The power flickers, the screen glitches, and when it comes back, the dog's alone. One frame shows a Doberman raising its paw and trembling, not out of aggression, but recognition. When asked why it attacked its owner, the animal behaviorist replied, "Because that wasn't its owner anymore." Officially, there is no statement. Unofficially, entire towns have been locked down under the guise of viral containment. Blocked roads, cell towers jammed, community drills, they call them. Reports of aggressive pet behavior have spiked. Select breeds, particularly shepherds, retrievers, and mastiffs, are being recalled by state authorities for evaluation. None are returned. Shelters are closing. Dogs are disappearing from pounds, homes, and vet offices overnight. Witnesses report plain vans, no markings, no license plates, no driver ever steps out. Just a door opens. A dog goes in, then silence. No barks are ever heard from inside. If this is control, it is not for your safety. It is to silence the only creatures that can still tell who is real and who has already been replaced. In file #29D, one handler wrote, "It looked like him, walked like him, but the smell, there was no smell, no sweat, no breath, just cold. Transmission will end shortly." Authorities have triangulated this signal. This recording is now flagged. Before silence falls, remember this. If your dog begins to stare, truly stare, not out of curiosity, not for food, not in play, but with stillness, with sorrow, with something like mourning, do not speak, do not move, do not let it see you change, because it knows. It knows what's inside your skin is not you anymore. And if your dog has already stopped barking, it's too late.
If your dog howls at night, lock your doors immediately because they are coming.
This is a classified broadcast advisory issued in response to multiple escalating incidents. If your dog howls at night, it's not just noise. It's a signal, a warning, because when your dog starts howling after midnight, they're already near. Stay inside, lock the doors, and most importantly, whatever happens, do not ignore your dog. Their dogs begin howling between 12:41 a.m. and 3:33 a.m. But what are they reacting to? Not intruders, not wild animals. They're reacting to them. A species of decayed, distorted beings that emerge only at night. Undead in form, unnatural in movement, unseen by human eyes. Only animals, particularly dogs, can detect their presence. And what do they want? They feed on those who are spiritually fractured, the corrupt, the cruel, anyone drowning in sin or darkness. These creatures don't break in through doors. They slip through places you don't even notice. They don't make a sound, but your dog knows they're there. Most of their victims have one thing in common: a hidden rot, a sinful life. These entities don't kill at random. They choose. The ones tangled in webs of lies, betrayal, addiction, cruelty, or buried shame. They track the weakness in the soul, not in the body. And before they strike, they always give a warning. Your dog howls. Not once, 3 times, always 3. The first howl is a signal. The second is a plea. The third is a mark. They are claiming the space, preparing to breach, watching from the dark corners of your world. And when the howling suddenly stops, when the silence settles like a final breath, that doesn't mean the danger is gone. It means they're already inside. The first case was reported in San Antonio, Texas. Tyler Meeks was a 21-year-old college student. Wicked, sinful, always focused on girls. Until one night, his dog wouldn't stop howling. But it wasn't random. The dog stood frozen, staring at the closet and screaming. Tyler texted his roommates about it, joking that something's living in the closet. They never heard from him again. 3 days later, police entered the house. Tyler's dog was dead, face down on the bedroom floor. The closet door was wide open, and on the inside wall, a massive black handprint, too large for any human, was smeared across the plaster. No sign of struggle, no sign of Tyler, just silence. He was never found. Neighbors still report something strange. Every few weeks, dogs in the neighborhood all start howling at once, always toward Tyler's house, even though no one lives there anymore. The second incident was reported in New York City. Joanne Miller, 68, a retired schoolteacher, lived with her golden retriever, Max. Then one night, Max started howling. Same time, every night, 2:13 a.m. Sharp, piercing, desperate. At first, Joanne dismissed it, thought it was just age, anxiety, or maybe a raccoon in the yard. But then came the night the howling stopped. No bark, no whimper, just silence. That same night, Joanne's son-in-law, owner of multiple nightclubs, no known medical conditions, suffered a stroke in his sleep, collapsed in bed, barely survived. The doctors had no explanation, no warning signs, no genetic history, just sudden failure. A week later, a neighbor approached Joanne, pale and shaking. He said he'd seen something tall, thin, gliding, not walking, moving along the fence line behind her house. No face, no noise, just motion. Joanne hasn't slept the same since. The third incident was reported in California. A single but a sinful father, name withheld by request, lived with his 6-year-old daughter and their German shepherd, Rex. For weeks, Rex would howl at the backyard fence. The father assumed it was a stray animal, maybe a coyote. He checked the yard. Nothing. Then came the night his daughter said, "Daddy, the man without skin was looking at me through the swing." That same night, Rex let out a scream. The father rushed outside. Rex was 5 feet off the ground, pinned to a tree, held there by nothing, and then he dropped. No blood, no broken bones, just silence. Animal control investigated the next morning. No bite marks, no claw marks, no predators. But in the middle of the backyard, underneath the swing set, they found a group of inhuman-shaped depression in the grass, like something had been lying there, rotting, watching. If your dog howls at night, don't yell. Don't assume it's just being dramatic. Pay attention, because there are signs, and they always appear before the first strike. You might notice shadows moving across your walls, even when no lights are on. A chair slightly pulled out when you were sure it was tucked in. Your hallway lights flickering, just seconds before the howling begins. These are not electrical problems. They are warnings. When your dog howls, it's because they're already circling, pacing around your home, watching through windows, testing the walls, measuring your fear, and most importantly, deciding if you're ready. Because once they decide, they don't knock, they don't call, they enter. And by then, it's too late. If your dog howls at night, listen to that instinct. Because if they haven't taken you yet, you still have time. These entities, the ones who stalk neighborhoods after midnight, don't attack randomly. They choose their prey. They are drawn to the arrogant, the cruel, the sinful, the dishonest, those who mock guilt, who live without shame. But they fear something. They fear change. They fear the sound of a heart breaking open in repentance. They fear the moment a soul starts to fight back. That means you have one way out. Just one. Admit what you've done, even if no one hears it but you. Feel the weight of it, not as a punishment, but as a turning point. Show compassion, especially to those you once ignored or harmed. Break the cycle, whatever it is. Lies, hatred, cruelty, secrets. End it. It's not about perfection. It's about becoming someone they can no longer touch. Because people who truly changed reported something incredible. The howling stopped, the footsteps faded, and a silence, a peaceful silence, returned to their homes. But those who refused to change, the ones who said, "I'm fine. I don't need to do anything," no one's heard from them since. This broadcast is your warning. If your dog howls at night, they are coming. Don't run. Don't scream. Don't pretend it's nothing. They already know where you live. The only thing left is what you do tonight. Transmission ends. This emergency broadcast is being sent to all residents who currently have a registered pet dog in their household. If you're hearing this, it's not a test. Please don't turn it off. We're begging you, just listen. Recent alerts from multiple counties have forced us to address a growing pattern of disturbing canine behavior. Something's happening. Something we don't understand. And it's spreading. The first known incident happened just after 3 a.m. in a quiet mountain town called Sycamore Falls. Not the kind of place you'd expect for something like this. That's what makes it worse. A couple living on Chestnut Ridge reported something strange with their Labrador, Buddy, a 10-year-old rescue they'd raised since he was a puppy. They'd had him longer than they'd lived in that house. Buddy was family. Sweet. Loyal. Never barked unless he needed to go outside. The kind of dog you trust with your kid's sandwich. The kind that waits by the door just because you're 5 minutes late. At 3:07 a.m., they found Buddy sitting completely still at the edge of their hallway. His head was tilted upward, not looking at anything, just listening. Not even blinking, just frozen like a statue, ears twitching every few seconds like he could hear something no one else could. When the husband called his name, Buddy turned. Not quickly. The movement was slow, unnatural, as though his neck was stiff or resisting. And then he smiled. He didn't blink, didn't move otherwise, just stared with that wide, toothy grin like he knew something they didn't. It wasn't a snarl. It wasn't fear. It was a full, deliberate smile. Lips stretched back, teeth bared, unblinking eyes. Still listening, like he was proud of something, like he had waited years to show them this face. The wife said it looked like someone else was inside his skin, like the body was a suit and whatever was inside was proud of it. Since that morning, 28 confirmed cases have emerged, all across the region, and those are just the ones reported. We think the number's way higher. People are scared to talk, or gone. The symptoms are always the same. Dogs stop eating, stop drinking, stop playing. They stare, they wait, sometimes for hours, sometimes days. Just standing there, watching nothing, listening. Some owners have reported waking in the night to see their dogs smiling, just standing by the bed, showing all their teeth in complete silence. Not breathing heavy, not wagging, just there, too close, too quiet. The smile does not change. Not with time, not with yelling, not with medications, not even when the lights are off. One man said he threw a blanket over the dog. 10 minutes later, he heard it giggling, like a child. But it wasn't a child, and it wasn't Buddy. In some homes, owners said they began hearing words. Not barking, words, but the tone was wrong. Like a recording slowed down, like the voice had teeth. The first thing they hear is always the same. A voice deep and slow. I waited long enough, and it says it like it means something, like it remembers. In 2 recorded calls to emergency services, this voice came from the living room, while the dog was still facing away, smiling. The officers said they heard it too. The dispatcher quit the same night. We urge all residents, do not hide in other rooms. Do not attempt to approach or calm the dog. It's not scared, and it's not confused, but it wants you to think it is. It wants your sympathy, your trust. That's how it gets close. If your home has an attic or basement with an interior lock, go there immediately. Wait for help. Do not listen if your dog starts talking. And whatever you do, don't answer it when it asks questions. That's how it learns. 3 reports from last night show that the voice you hear may know your name, your memories, and even your childhood phrases. This is not your dog. This is not anything from here. It knows things. Things no one should. One man said it asked about his mother's perfume. She died in 1987. Something is using its body. Something that was waiting, watching, borrowing its shape. Like it had been waiting behind Buddy's eyes for years, waiting for something, a signal, or permission. Something let it out. Not called, not summoned, just released. After 24 hours, changes begin. That's the pattern. First the smile, then the silence, then the rest. You'll notice it first in the smell, like rot and melted plastic. It clings to your clothes. One caller from a cabin in the north reported the dog's fur sloughing off like wet paper. Beneath, there was skin, but it wasn't canine. It was dry, gray, and tight like overcooked meat. She said it smelled like burnt wires and sulfur. The air got thick like the walls were sweating. She said her phone melted when she tried to record it. Said the time on the microwave reset itself to 6 hours 66 minutes. Another resident said her dog had extra joints, limbs bending backwards, sideways, standing taller than before. She said it scraped its head on the hallway ceiling, but her ceiling was 8 feet high. She tried to scream, said no sound came out, just a ringing, like feedback from a speaker in her skull. And worst of all, in 2 cases, the dogs began speaking directly, but they didn't say words. They said memories, things only the owners knew. Remember your birthday at the lake? I saw what your father did behind the garage. You were already mine when you found me. One of them whispered something in Russian. The owner never spoke Russian, but his grandmother did. They don't just speak, they accuse. They want you broken, scared, weak. They know what makes you hurt, and they'll say it like they've been rehearsing, like they've been practicing your pain, replaying it, memorizing your screams. Lock the door. Do not feed it. Do not speak to it. Do not believe it. Even if it says sorry, even if it cries. That's not your dog. That's not anyone's dog. This is not a warning. This is an evacuation alert for all homes affected by smiling dogs. In file number 42C, one responder said, "Whatever's inside them, it doesn't leave. They burned the house. It didn't scream. It laughed. Keep your radio on. Do not go outside until further updates are confirmed. And whatever happens, if your dog smiles, it's already too late." If your dog has recently started sleeping under your bed, do not pull it out. Because your dog is not trying to comfort you. It is hiding. Dogs that were once playful and open suddenly start crawling under beds, refusing to come out after sunset. We've been told they're just scared of thunder, or maybe they want to feel safe. But that's not it. They're scared of something you can't see, something that doesn't come through doors. It comes from above. If you've heard tiny sounds on the ceiling at exactly 3 a.m., and your dog begins to hide beneath your bed frame without making a sound, then I'm sorry, but you might already be noticed. Whatever it is, it doesn't look at dogs. It looks for humans, exposed ones, especially those lying alone in bed. Keep listening. There's still time, but not much. At first, it looks harmless. You think it's just heat, or maybe anxiety. Your dog starts crawling under the bed every night, even if it never did before. You try coaxing it out, it won't budge. Its eyes stay fixed on the ceiling, as if something is moving up there. People say dogs fear the dark, but that's wrong. They don't fear the dark. They fear what watches through it. They fear the quiet tapping above your head at 2:41 a.m. The part of your ceiling that creaks even when you're not moving. Something else has entered your space, and your dog was the first to notice. The first case was reported in South Hill, Virginia. Joe Root, a 32-year-old man, lives alone with his husky, Baxter. A month ago, Baxter stopped sleeping on the couch. He started crawling under the bed, flat, low, silent, right at sunset. Joe thought maybe it was the summer heat, but even with the AC blasting, the dog refused to come out. His food bowl stayed untouched unless slid under the bed. Then Joe noticed something else. At night, he'd wake up to faint noises, soft clicks above the ceiling fan. Scratching, like something moving on all fours. But above him, he checked the attic. Nothing. Called pest control. Still nothing. One night, he recorded audio. The next morning, the file had exactly 2 sounds. At 2:39 a.m., a loud tap. At 2:41, the sound of something sliding across drywall. And then a whisper, barely audible. Just one word, found. Joe laughed it off, thought it was interference. The next night, he tried pulling Baxter out. The dog growled, low, terrified. Not aggressive, more like warning. Still, Joe lifted him and locked him in the laundry room. He never made it back to bed. At 3 a.m., his neighbor heard screaming. When the police arrived, they found the bedroom empty, the bed untouched, the ceiling fan slowly spinning. No sign of forced entry. Just one thing, Baxter, wedged back under the bed, shivering, his eyes glued upward. Second incident was reported in Redwood, California. Angela Martinez, a 28-year-old freelance illustrator, moved into a new apartment 2 months ago with her golden retriever, Daisy. Nice neighborhood, clean place, top floor unit. Only one odd thing. Daisy refused to sleep anywhere but under the bed. At first, Angela thought it was nerves. New space, different smells. But Daisy kept dragging her dog bed deeper and deeper under the frame every single night. Angela noticed something else, too. Daisy wouldn't go near the ceiling light. She would growl softly and then stare up. After 3 nights of hearing what she thought were squirrels in the ceiling, Angela installed a cheap motion camera, pointed straight up. The footage came in the next morning. Timestamp, 3:09 a.m. First, stillness. Then a flicker. Then, something long and jointless crawled across the ceiling. Its limbs didn't bend. Its head dragged behind like it was too heavy to lift. And just before it left the frame, it stopped, turned, and stared directly into the camera, even though it had no eyes. Angela left the apartment for 2 nights. Came back with a new bed setup, low, solid, flat. She now sleeps under the bed with Daisy, every single night. This report came in from a man who refused to give his name. We traced the call to West Seneca, New York. His voice was shaking. He said his beagle, Max, had never been afraid of anything. Thunder, fireworks, vacuums, you name it. But last week, something changed. Max wouldn't go near the center of the room. He would pace around it in a wide circle and then crawl under the bed, whining. He didn't sleep, didn't bark, just stared up at the ceiling. The man thought maybe there was a leak. So he lay down on the bed one night, staring up. And that's when he saw it. The ceiling was breathing, just barely, like the drywall was rising and falling. He said it looked like lungs, massive and slow. Then came the knock. From inside the ceiling. Not on it. Inside it. He backed away. Max started growling, low and steady, but didn't come out. The man grabbed a flashlight, opened the attic hatch, and there was nothing. Just insulation, wires, and dust. But when he climbed back down, his bed was gone. Not broken. Not moved. Just missing. The carpet was flat, undisturbed, like the bed had never been there. Max was still under the frame, except there was no frame anymore, just empty space, and a terrified dog floating 3 inches off the floor. The man ended the call with one sentence. Whatever it is, it only comes when I'm alone, and it's almost time. If your dog has started sleeping under your bed, do not pull it out. Do not call its name, and never try to sleep without it nearby. Your dog is not scared of you. It's scared for you. The thing in your ceiling, the one that drags its limbs in silence, it can't sense dogs, but it can feel exposed human skin, bare feet, a shoulder sticking out of the blanket, the back of your neck. It only comes when you're alone, but alone doesn't always mean lonely. If your dog leaves the room at night, do not follow. Do not stand in the center of the bedroom. And whatever you do, don't look up. We have no idea what it wants. It doesn't speak. It doesn't leave prints. And once you see it, you're marked. We've gathered 73 reports from across the country, all with the same pattern. Ceiling movement begins at 2:41 a.m. Dogs hide. Humans vanish. No signs of entry. No sounds. Just beds left untouched and dogs found cowering underneath them. If your ceiling fan begins spinning by itself, if your dog starts growling at nothing, it's already in your home. There's only one chance. Sleep close to the floor. Stay under heavy blankets. Let your dog stay under the bed, even if it whines. Because the second you're fully visible, you're no longer alone. If your dog suddenly refuses to enter one specific room in your house, don't force them. Don't call it silly. Don't laugh it off. They're not afraid of the dark. They're trying to protect you from something that shouldn't be there. Something that waits in the corner. Something only a few people are ever allowed to see. Most people think their dog avoids a room because of a smell, or maybe it's too hot, or they're just anxious. But the truth shows itself slowly. When your dog starts stopping at the doorway, at the same exact time every night, and no matter what, refuses to go in. It's not the darkness they're scared of. It's something else. Something that stays in the corner and watches. George and his Labrador, Limo, lived in a quiet home. One night, Limo stopped entering the guest room. At the same time every night, Limo would sit at the door and stare. George first thought Limo was acting silly, but soon he started to see strange shadows moving in the corner of that room. His sleep was disrupted by vivid hallucinations, soft whispers, and distant scratches. Limo would growl fiercely every time George attempted to step inside, as if warning him. Within weeks, George began to feel constantly watched, anxious, and unable to relax in his own home. He realized that Driven by his own loneliness and guilt over past mistakes, the creature had found an entry point and was using his vulnerable state to disturb his life. He said the air in that room felt different and thicker, like breathing through wet cloth. The shadows weren't just shapes, they pulsed, like they were alive. He told his brother once, just once, but the way his brother looked at him, like he was unraveling, George never brought it up again. Later, when George finally moved out, he sealed the guest room shut with nails and thick wooden boards. No one was allowed in. He told the realtor, "Don't open it, no matter what the new owner says." In a historic home in Salem, Rebecca and her terrier, Coco, experienced a similar terror. One cold autumn evening, Coco refused to go beyond the threshold of a particular study. When Rebecca installed the camera, the footage revealed a long, shifting shadow moving slowly in the far corner. At first, Rebecca dismissed it as a trick of the light, but over days, she began to suffer from intense nightmares and panic attacks. Coco would bark and growl every time Rebecca neared that room, trying to force her away. It turned out that Rebecca's deep-seated fears of failure and rejection had left her emotionally exposed, making her the perfect target for the creature. The unseen entity exploited that weakness, invading her mind and turning her once safe home into a source of constant dread. She tried everything, but every night, same time, Coco would cry at the door, whimpering, scratching to get her away. The shadow on the camera began to shift position. Closer, frame by frame, like it knew it was being watched. One night, the footage showed something behind her. She wasn't even in the room, just watching the tape. But in the reflection of the study's glass door, something was standing behind her shoulder. And she hadn't moved. In a quiet suburban home, 17-year-old Chris noticed his German Shepherd, Tank, suddenly avoiding the family's laundry room. It was a completely normal part of the house, one they used every day. But for some reason, Tank would stop dead at the door, tail down, ears back, growling low at something only he could see. Chris brushed it off for days, until one night he decided to stay in the room alone to test a theory. He placed his phone in the corner to record. What the video showed chilled him. A tall, shifting silhouette barely visible at first, standing exactly in the far corner where Tank always stared. Over the next week, Chris began forgetting simple things, where he placed his keys, entire conversations, even his own birthday. His friends noticed him staring off into corners of rooms, completely silent, eyes wide. Tank refused to go near him. The doctors called it stress. But Chris knew it started the moment he challenged what was hiding in that ordinary room. The entity had used something real, his grief over his parents' recent divorce, as a crack to slip in. And now, it was peeling him away from himself, one forgotten memory at a time. Chris said sometimes he'd catch himself halfway through brushing his teeth, unable to remember if he had already done it. His voice notes became jumbled. Half-finished thoughts, rambling about mirrors, about something behind the dryer. In file number 27C, his last recorded note ended abruptly after the words, "It's learning how to be me." The man in the corner always stays in one place, the corner of the room. You can't see him unless he wants you to. But if you hear the buzzing, like an old TV on with no signal, and feel your ears pop, he's close. If the lights flicker only in that one room, don't check. When a dog stares at that corner, the creature doesn't move. It freezes. But the moment the dog walks away, or is forced inside, the man starts to move. Slowly, you won't hear footsteps. Just the soft tap of nails on drywall. Like a lizard, or something pretending to be one. He only appears in homes where someone is empty inside. People who feel alone, disconnected, or broken after some kind of loss. That emotional emptiness creates a space for him to enter. And once he's inside your home, he won't leave until he's taken something from you. Sometimes it's a memory, a relationship, a sense of time. Sometimes it's your voice. Other times it's your reflection. If your dog suddenly stops going near a certain room, don't force them inside. If they growl, bark, or whine, listen. Never look directly into the corner. If you see something standing there, it might see you too. And if it does, it'll remember. It'll wait for your weakest moment. And next time, it won't hide. Seal the room. Lock the door. Block it off completely. And remember, your dog isn't scared. They're trying to protect you from what's already inside. From something that doesn't blink, doesn't breathe, and never leaves until you do. If your dog has started attacking cats, don't separate them. Don't scold the dog. Watch the cat instead. Something followed it home, and it's not what you think. We've received multiple disturbing reports this week, all from small American towns, all with the same pattern. Dogs that suddenly turn aggressive toward one specific cat. Cats that seem calm and quiet. And nights full of screaming that no one else hears. If your dog hates your cat, you may not be the one it's trying to protect. Most people think dogs and cats just naturally don't get along. They are born enemies. They say territorial, jealous, or protective. But when your dog suddenly attacks one cat, just one, and refuses to stop, it's not instinct. It's fear. The truth is far worse. Because lately, more and more families across the country are bringing home cats that didn't come from anywhere. Cats they found. Cats that don't blink, don't purr, don't eat, and only the dogs know which one it is. It's called the cat caller, a mimic, a skinwalker that only takes feline forms. It moves through neighborhoods, waiting by forests, dumpsters, and highway shoulders, posing as lost or stray cats. It prefers homes with pets because real cats offer cover, but your dog can tell the difference. It doesn't see the cat caller fully, only pieces, 2 long limbs, flickering shadows, and a voice that sounds like a meow stretched thin like broken tape. The cat caller doesn't hunt immediately. It waits until the house sleeps. Then it begins whispering. Not in words, in sounds. Scratching behind doors, meowing under beds, clawing from inside the walls. The dog barks, growls, screams. The cat just sits there watching, and when you finally sleep, it enters your dreams. Some say the cat caller feeds through dreams. Others say it marks its victims until they're weak enough to take. But those who survive all agree on one thing. You never bring it home twice. Once is all it needs. The first case was reported in Asheville, North Carolina. Levi found the cat in a ditch behind his property, orange tabby, clean, no collar. He thought it might belong to a neighbor, but when no one claimed it, he let it stay. His dog, Jasper, a calm golden retriever, lost control the moment it saw the cat. Barking, snapping, even bleeding from claw wounds trying to reach it. Jasper had never even growled before. Not once. Levi said his bark sounded different. Like panic. That night, Levi had a dream. He was lying in bed, but something heavy moved across his chest. A distorted meow filled the air. He couldn't move. Something cold was sniffing his face. He woke up gasping. Jasper was crying at the bedroom door. The cat was curled at the foot of the bed purring. Except it wasn't purring. Not really. Levi said it sounded like low humming. Like static in an old radio. Over the next 2 nights, the dreams escalated. In one, he saw a cat-shaped creature stand on 2 legs and crawl into his mouth. In another, it scratched his stomach open and whispered into the wound. The next morning, Levi found those same scratches, real, bleeding. His dog had bite marks too. And not from the cat, from something bigger. On the 4th day, he drove to the same ditch and left the cat there. That night, no dream, no scratches, no meowing. Jasper finally slept. He filed a report. The file was marked unsubstantiated animal event. Case closed. But Levi never brought another pet home again. The second case was reported in Adrian Cross, Boise, Idaho. Adrian's son brought the cat home from a hiking trip. He said it had been following them for hours, too clean to be feral, too quiet to be normal. Their husky Luna began growling and urinating inside the house, always around the new cat. The family scolded her for jealous behavior. Adrian said Luna's eyes would follow something behind the cat, like she saw another shape riding inside it. The dreams began that weekend. Adrian saw her son being licked by something with a dozen gray, furless cat heads, all meowing in sync. She woke up screaming. Each night, the dreams returned, twisted cats growing from the walls, her bed surrounded by paws, something chewing on her hair. Her dog refused to enter the boy's room, barked at the door, cried, scratched at nothing. On the 5th day, her son collapsed. Claw marks all over his chest, no one saw how. The cat was sitting on his bed. Adrian drove 20 miles back into the mountains and threw the cat down a ravine. No more dreams. Her son healed. Luna wagged her tail again. They moved 2 months later, left the state, never got another pet. The third incident happened in Bakersfield, California. Martin worked night shifts. On his walk home, he heard a cat crying beneath a parked truck. He coaxed it out, took it home. His pit bull, Gage, launched at it instantly, tried to kill it. Martin locked the dog outside. That night, Martin dreamed of a dead cat crawling out of his own mouth, its tail brushing his teeth. Each night after, Gage howled endlessly outside. Martin started sleepwalking. He'd wake up in the hallway with bloody feet. He placed cameras. The footage showed Martin standing by the fridge, head tilted, meowing for hours. The morning after his worst dream, one where the cat caller whispered in a woman's voice through the cat's body, Martin woke up with deep bite marks on his arm. He buried the cat in the same spot he found it. That night was silent. Gage licked his hand. The wounds slowly healed. But Martin keeps the footage. He doesn't remember any of it. We requested that footage. Authorities never followed up. Case marked unresolved. If your dog suddenly begins attacking one specific cat, especially one you recently brought home, do not stop it. That cat may not be a cat at all. Separate them. Lock the dog and yourself in a room. Do not sleep near the cat. Do not dream near the cat. The cat caller waits for silence. It only becomes active when you're vulnerable, exhausted, sleeping, distracted. Burn sage if you must. Wash your sheets. But above all, return the cat to where it came from. It does not belong in your home. If you don't know where it came from, then you've already let it in too far. If your dog has started barking at other dogs more than usual, especially ones that seem strangely still, you need to listen carefully. This is not aggression. This is not misbehavior. And this is definitely not something you can train out of them. What you're witnessing is a warning. A classified veterinary advisory was issued 2 weeks ago, quietly, without media attention. We were instructed to remain silent to avoid public panic. But after the Southbridge case, we can't stay quiet anymore. Lock your doors. Keep your pets close. And if you see a dog that doesn't blink, Walk away. Immediately. Dogs bark at other dogs for all the usual reasons. Territory, dominance, playfulness, even fear. Trainers call it a phase. Vets call it instinct. Most people ignore it. But what if your dog isn't reacting to the other dog at all? What if it's reacting to something inside it? Something wearing its shape, mimicking its movements, but missing one crucial detail. Dogs notice what we don't. They hear the silence between sounds. They sense wrongness. So when your dog barks, not playfully, but like it's warning you, and the other dog just stands there, staring, unmoving, that's not a social issue. That's survival. The first incident was reported in Phoenix. Lena Parker was walking her Labrador, Max, just after 9 p.m., a quiet, empty street near West House Street. That's when Max stopped cold. Across the road, under a flickering lamppost, stood a golden retriever. Alone, motionless. Max began to growl, low, deep, unlike anything Lena had heard before. She tried to pull him away. The other dog didn't react, didn't flinch. As Lena glanced over, the dog's head slowly turned. Not its body, just the head, with an unnatural, smooth twist. And then it tilted, just a little, eyes wide open. No blink, no breath, no sound. That night, Max refused to sleep. He stood at the kitchen window, barking at the darkness for hours. By morning, Lena was gone. Her phone was found on the porch, screen still on, the camera app open, frozen on a blurred image of a dog's eye. The second incident was reported in Dallas. Caleb Morris had been training dogs for 14 years. Calm, methodical, unshakable, until the Black Great Dane arrived. He filmed the session, routine obedience work, but the dog didn't respond. No flinch at loud sounds, no tail wag, no interest in treats. Just stood there staring. Then it walked directly into a wall, paused, backed up, did it again. Caleb stopped filming. He said its movements were delayed, like something inside was trying to figure out how bones worked. That night, he messaged a colleague, "I feel watched. My own dog won't go near the closet." The next morning, scratch marks appeared on the inside of the closet door. From the inside. 2 days later, police responded to a wellness check. Caleb's dog was found dead in the bathroom. Caleb was in the hallway, curled up, rocking, both eyes scratched out. He kept whispering, "It followed me from the mirror." The third incident was reported in San Francisco. Maria Rios had seen the beagle before, her neighbor's dog, old and quiet. But that week, something felt wrong. The beagle hadn't moved from the front yard for hours. Same position, same angle. Her Shih Tzu barked violently every time they passed. Not playful, panicked. Maria assumed it was illness, or age. She called animal control. When they arrived, not even 30 minutes later, the beagle was gone. No leash, no trail, no response from the neighbor. That night, muddy paw prints appeared in her hallway. No rain, no open doors. Her Shih Tzu stood in front of the garage door for hours, barking so hard it started to choke. Maria opened the door slowly. No sound, nothing inside. Just the beagle's collar lying in the center of the floor. Still warm. They've been unofficially labeled the hollow howlers by rogue veterinary researchers across Texas and Illinois. People who've seen too much to stay silent. These things look like dogs. From across the street, or through a window, they could pass as just another stray. But up close, the illusion falls apart. Their bodies move like puppets without strings. Limbs bend, but the torso stays unnaturally rigid. Their paws don't compress when they walk. You'll hear nails tapping, but see no weight shifting. Their eyes are pitch, not just dark, empty. They don't reflect light. No glow in the dark. No shine in the day. Their skin hangs slightly off, like a costume one size too big. And most disturbingly, they never blink. Not once. These aren't spirits. They're not ghosts. They're replacements. No one knows where they came from. Not even government agencies, and yes, they are aware. But here's what we do know. They only manifest in areas with dense dog populations. They need real dogs to operate, to mimic, to anchor themselves. Some simply follow and infect. Others replace. And if your dog suddenly fixates on another dog, barking frantically while the other stands perfectly still, it means one of them is trying to cross over. When the replacement turns its head slowly and stares at you, you've been marked. The infection begins with you, not your dog. Through eye contact, 3 seconds or longer. That's all it takes. Then comes the sound. Barking. Inside your house. In the middle of the night. But your dog is asleep. The howling isn't coming from it. If your dog begins barking at another dog, don't pull it away. Don't hush it. And above all, don't ignore it. Watch the other dog closely. If it doesn't blink, if it doesn't react to shouting, clapping, or motion, if it stands still like it's waiting for something, do not approach. Do not make eye contact. Turn around. Go home. And do not let your dog interact. Because the hollow howlers don't need to touch you to enter. They only need to be seen. Once you get home, observe your dog. If the barking doesn't stop, if it stares at the walls, the corners, or the door, check everything. Lock the doors. Seal the windows. Turn off mirrors. These things don't break in. They follow, and they imitate. If you hear barking from a room your dog isn't in, if something that sounds almost like your dog is scratching at the back door, don't open it. Don't speak. And whatever you do, don't look through the glass. Because by then, you're not alone anymore.